Hello, vinyl community. It's Matt here again. Do you remember those heady days when we could all go out to record stores? Like a month or two ago. I remember those days. I have some records here that I bought like in the last 2 to 3 months when we were still allowed to go out, when record stores were still open. So I thought I would share those with you today. So let's get started. Most of these have a little bit of a backstory. The first one, so the company that I work for moved recently to a new office, and naturally, as you do, I checked out the record stores in the area. Went onto Google Maps and found that there's one actually about 10 minutes away. It's like 2 streets away, about a 10-minute drive. So of course I had to go check it out. And interesting store. I gotta be perfectly honest with you, I forget the name off the top of my head, but it was a small store, and they had most of their records concentrated in the middle. It was kind of a strange setup. Around the outside was almost entirely like T-shirts and CDs and things, DVDs. But I did pick up Parliament Mothership Connection. Finally, it's been on my wish list for a while. I thought this was a good price, $16.99. It's a reissue. It was still sealed, brand new. And I didn't realize until I played this how many songs on this album I knew. I'd never played the album before. Maybe I've listened to it online, I forget. But there were several songs, and I kind of found myself, nodding my head to the music, thinking, okay, I know that song. So yeah, it's pretty cool. $16.99. Very pleased to get that. Also, I went to the Rat Hole. This is probably about 2 months ago. I think it was in February. And I grabbed Autobahn by Kraftwerk, another one that had been on my want list. The condition of this is, I paid $20 for it, which was right at the top end of what I was prepared to pay, I have to be honest. And I was a little bit disappointed I couldn't get it for cheaper. But it did play fine. I played it on the turntable they have there. I thought, okay, it sounds good. I believe it is an original pressing, which of course does inflate the price somewhat. It's on the Vertigo label right there. There's a few hairlines, but the record's a pretty solid VG plus. So yeah, I thought, okay, $20. It's not the end of the world. And like I said, it did play fine. Right before the whole coronavirus thing started, actually right as it was starting, a friend of mine passed away in February, and I went to his funeral, and this, like I said, this was right when the coronavirus situation was escalating, because on entering the church, you were required to use hand sanitizer, and there were some people wearing masks already by that point. But anyway, after the funeral, I thought, and it was in Whittier in California, which I've been to before, but I'm not super familiar with Whittier. It's a little bit of a ways away from where I live, and so I thought, well, let me just see if there's a record store right here. And lo and behold, there are actually two less than a mile away, I think. So I just chose one. I think it was the closest one, just about. And like I said, it was a few blocks away, pretty much. And I went there, and again, I forget the name. I'm sorry, but anyway, talked to the owner in there. Seemed like a really nice guy, and I kind of regretted afterwards not shooting some video. And I even said to him before I left, I said, I should have taken some video. And he said, oh yeah, that would have been great, but anyway, maybe another time. But I did pick up one record. I picked up Down to Earth by Rainbow. I thought this was a good price. It was only, I want to say it was $12, $10 or $12, and still in the shrink. Not sealed. It's been opened, but it's still in the shrink. It was a little bit dirty. Just needed cleaning. Oh, actually, it's got a sticker on it. $12.99. That's what I paid. $12.99. And of course, this is the album that has Since You've Been Gone on it, which I would imagine is, if not the biggest hit, certainly the most well-known song. And I'll show you guys the record as well. It's on the Polydor label right here. There we go. And this came out in 79. 1979 this came out. So yeah, another one that I'd sort of been on my wish list, not super high up, but I did want it, and so pleased to pick that up. And also around the same time, I picked up this interesting compilation from Target, Motown number ones. It's a double album. It's on very interesting colored gold vinyl, and I apologize if I showed this in a video already. I couldn't remember if I had shown it, and if I have, just stick with me. I've got one more record to show after this, but anyway, yeah. So it's all. I guess every single song on here was a number one for Motown. So there's an introduction on here, but it's got the Marvelettes and Mary Wells and the Supremes, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Jackson 5, Smokey Robinson, Commodores, and the most recent song is Boys to Men, I'll Make Love to You, which I'm not a big fan of Boys to Men. I think they're one of the most overrated groups in history, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, this was it wasn't that expensive. I think it was $24 or something like that. I forget. I'll show you guys the vinyl. It's a very interesting color. I'll just get one of the records out, but like I said, it is a 2-disc set, and it's on the classic Motown label, and there it is. And you can see if I kind of move this around, it's got like a foil underneath it. Both records are the same, so it's kind of cool. I just thought, you know what, there's quite a few songs on there that I did not have on vinyl already, and so I just figured, yeah, what the heck. And then finally, again, this was not long before the coronavirus shutdowns or stay-at-home orders were being issued. I went to Mad Platter in Riverside and picked up Heavy Soul by Paul Weller. I already have Stanley Road by him, and I'd had my eye on this for a while, and I just thought, you know, what the heck. I was there, and one of the other reasons, to be honest, was that there were a few records that I wanted, but what they've been doing for a while now at this store is they will put a and I took it off this one so you can't see it, but they'll put a, you know, one of those little black plastic tracking things, you know, it's like a passive circuit or whatever that sets the alarm off if you try to leave the store. And those are easy enough to get off. If they just put one on there, it's no problem. They usually pry off, or you can just leave it, whatever, not a big deal. But what they've started doing is taping them on, and they'll wrap tape all the way around the shrink. And I get it. I'm sure they're doing it because people have been picking these off and just walking out of the store with records. But I said to the guy in there, I said, you know, I'm sure it's a minority of customers, but a lot of people like to keep the shrink wrap on the records they buy, and that becomes nearly impossible when you've got this tape on here. And I have bought albums from there before with the tape, and I did manage to get the tape off, but it took a long time. It took a long time to gradually take the tape off. Otherwise, you're just going to rip the shrink right off of it. So that's disappointing. But anyway, they only started doing that at a certain point in time. So any records that they had priced before that point in time, I don't know if that's 6 months or a year ago, whatever, those didn't have the tape on them. So this one didn't have the tape, but that was part of the reason that I picked this up on my trip there. But I did want it anyway. I'd had my eye on it. So I don't know too many of the songs on here. I know Peacock Suit. Geez, that might be it. Is that the only song on here that I know? I think Friday Street as well. That the name sounds familiar. So I haven't given this a spin yet, but I will be looking forward to it because Stanley Road is a great album. I think Stanley Road was before this. This one came out in 97. Yeah, I think Stanley Road, I want to say, was around 95, like 2 years before it. But there we go. So those were some records that I picked up before we weren't allowed to go to record stores anymore. But yeah, on a more serious note about that, I do, and I mentioned this in, I think, my last video, or maybe the one before. I would definitely encourage everyone to keep buying online from record stores if you're able to, whether the record stores are selling directly through their own websites or through eBay, through Discogs. I mentioned in my last video that some are doing it through Instagram or Facebook, and so I would definitely encourage people to do that if you're able to do it. I realize that there's a lot of people now who are in tricky situations with jobs and furloughs and unemployment and so on. But if you're able to do it, I would definitely encourage people to do that, because I do think, unfortunately, we're going to lose quite a few record stores at the end of all this, and especially with that PPP money from the US government running out, which I guess is supposed to be replenished in the next couple of days, but I don't know. We'll see. There's too much bickering going on for anything to be smooth and easy, unfortunately. But yeah. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well and stay safe, and yeah, everyone will get through this time. It's just I guess it's just a matter of what things will look like afterwards. But all right, thanks everybody as always for watching, and if you'd like to subscribe, as always, you can hit the button below, and if you hit the bell icon, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. So take care everyone, and until next time, bye bye.